It's time for the scoreboard with Greg Glasscock and Chris Bolden.
Welcome back to another edition of Beyond the Blitz Scoreboard. Want to welcome in Mr. Greg Glasscock. How are you, Greg?
Great. How are you doing?
Doing pretty well. Right in the heat of this basketball that's going on right now between all the girls and the boys right now getting ready. They're pushing out of area into regionals, just finished up sub-regionals. So regionals started today at Jacksonville and Wallace. But before we jump into that and get some coverage on that, some big news yesterday out of the AHSAA. For those that do and may not know, Scottsboro has been making an appeal for a couple of weeks now that they were in the wrong classification based off some numbers that were turned in and were submitted but were incorrect. Long story short, after pushing that and kind of going through some legal action, yesterday the AHSAA come back and made an announcement that Scottsboro will now be 4A. So that was a big adjustment. That impacted some of the region, but I'm going to tell you something. The biggest region it impacted, and there was a team that benefited hugely from it, was in 5A. I talked to the coach about it. They're extremely excited, but with that, we're going to just cover what region now Scottsboro will be in football. I know in volleyball-wise, basically they just dropped it now, so it's Fort Payne and the 3 Huntsville teams. It didn't change anything else for 5A. But in 4A now, Region 8 for football, you're going to have Brewer, Cherokee County, Crossville, Fairview, Good Hope, Guntersville, Hayden, Sardis, and Scottsboro. So 1, 2, 3, 4,
9,
6, 7, 8, 9. That is a huge region now. Huge region.
Yeah, Chris, and also, because of that, some adjusted schedules came out. I know I got Gunersville's today. You're going to have 8 region games and now only 2 non-regions. So we actually dropped Boaz.
Really?
And kept AHSAA and Albertville, which kind of surprised me. Well, sort of did and sort of didn't. I didn't really like the idea of dropping any of them, but you figure with Albertville, that's the longest running rivalry in the state. And then AHSAA Gunersville's a natural rivalry. So I guess odd man out is kind of Boaz, but I still, as the Gunersville play-by-play person, I kind of hate to lose Boaz because I thought that was a good rivalry too. But when you have a 9-team region, and you play 10 games, what do you do with that big of a region?
Yeah, you can't do like another school and add an additional game like they did in basketball.
No, we don't want to get into that. So, I'm especially happy for. I'm sure you'll get into it with Douglas getting the move now to take Scottsboro's place, which makes a lot of sense because I know a lot of people, not only in Douglas but the county, were very upset because we talked about on a podcast before. I think Douglas's closest trip was going to be right at an hour on the road, and then just the team. They just take a beating against the teams they would play. So I am happy for Douglas. They were the one I think in all this that benefited the most. I really think Scottsboro could compete in the now known as 5A. I don't think it's a matter of really competition with Scottsboro people, they seem to be happy with the move. I wished I knew the reasoning why they were happy. Is it a competition? I don't really know what the reasoning is why they'd rather be 4 than 5A, really. I hadn't really heard. Yeah,
I haven't talked to anybody over there. I've got some friends and stuff, but I haven't reached out. I've been kind of waiting to see what was going to come out of it. And since it come out, I've been more concerned with now how does it change the region for Region 8 for 5A, and would it push Douglas? And so that was the first thing. As soon as I heard that, I reached out to Coach Lyles at Douglas and asked. I was like, hey, so what's the update with y'all guys? Are y'all moving? And he was like, yes. And he said, we're working schedules right now. He said, we're trying to finalize all that. So he said that should be dropping in the next day or two. And he said that we will be Region 8 now. So they're very excited. I know they're looking forward to it. So with that, we will look at 5A, Region 8. So now with that shift, Scottsboro being out of it now you have Albertville, AHSAA, Boaz, Columbia, Douglas, Fort Payne, Lee, and then May Jemison. So that really does a big shift there. So with Region 6, all they did was really they just dropped from where they had the 8. Now they just have 7 in that one. So so a little small shift there, but that makes this a very, very interesting Region 8 now for 5A. The big game I told you, Greg, I've been wanting to see. I've been wanting to see this game for 4 or 5 years now. Probably longer, is an Albertville Douglas matchup. And
last year, I'd have really liked to have seen it, to be honest with you. I don't know if Albertville would have wanted to see Douglas last year.
I'd have liked to have seen it in 21 with the team that Douglas had that they made the playoffs with that first year.
I've never understood, as close as they are to each other, why non-region they hadn't been playing. Like you got Gunersville, AHSAA, Boaz, Albertville, Boaz, Gunner. You've had all those in the past non-region, a lot of them.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really understand why there hadn't been a Douglas Albertville game. So I am glad to see them in the same region. I tell you, Chris, I don't know how everybody's going to look, their strengths and weaknesses for next year, but I wouldn't be a bit surprised if Douglas is not automatically real competitive in that region. Really?
Yes, I would say they are. So I've already looked. They play Albertville. I got their schedule yesterday. They play Albertville on the 18th of September. So I've already pinned my calendar. Like I will do nothing but go to that ball game that day.
Where's it at?
It's at Albertville. Yeah, Albertville will be hosting it. So, I'll be at that game. We will have coverage for that game. That's going to be a big game.
Don't you know that'll be a huge gate?
Yes, that's why I'm saying it's played. Yeah, because that game has not been played in forever. So I'm really looking forward to it. But like you were saying, I'm going to just say, just looking at it, I'm going to say you're going to have Albertville, AHSAA, Boaz, Douglas, Fort Payne is going to be your top 5 teams in that run right there. Now, teams that I think can run away with it are potentially Fort Payne and Boaz.
Depending on what they left, I think Fort Payne is the favorite right now.
Yes.
I would say.
Boaz, depending on what they do, replacing Fant, and how the new running back will do coming in. Their quarterback's going to come back. Defensively, they still should be very strong. So Boaz should still be a top 3 in that group. Fort Payne is going to be very strong. They've been strong for a while, so they honestly should be kind of one of the top picks in it. I know Mae Jemison and Lee were kind of down this last year, so a lot of it depends on how they do this year, what they're going to look like coming back. But again, the game everybody's going to be kind of looking at and making sure they don't want to take the L on is that Columbia. And Douglas actually has Columbia as homecoming.
Oh, could that be where Columbia actually breaks the streak?
Who knows? I know it's later on in the year. I haven't seen Columbia's schedule yet. I want to see it, but they play Columbia on October the 9th.
So, I tell you what, my big pick for the year is going to be, I don't know who it's going to be against. Columbia will break the streak next season. They might just win one game, but they're going to break the 100 and whatever it is now streak. In my opinion.
Against a region team, they will.
I'm not saying, I don't know what their non-region is, but they will break it. It could be against a region game. It could be against Lee. Could be against Douglas. Who knows? Could be against, Albert. I don't know. I think the only teams they definitely will not beat, trying to go off memory, that region, they will not beat Fort Payne. They will not beat Boaz.
Yeah.
I think some others are toss-ups. It depends on what Columbia's got coming back, or do they have a new team? I don't want to act like I know everything about Columbia football, because I don't, other than the losing streak. But I do think they'll break the longest streak in the nation next season.
I'm curious to see it.
So I tell you, talking about schedules in general, Chris, it's been a mess, which is already kind of benefiting me, because you got to think there's a lot of shifting games that were at home or now away. Like I was looking at my schedule for next year, where I was traveling, as an example, where I was traveling to Cherokee County and Hayden, couple of pretty far trips. Now those are Gunersville home games. Yeah. And some that were home were on the road. So you got to think about it when you drop a classification and you have another team moving regions. Yeah. It's not like you can change one game in your season. I mean, you're basically looking at having to change almost every game in some way. Oh, yeah. So I know it's had to be messy.
Yeah, and I'm wanting to try to get with some of the other coaches and get their schedules and kind of look at them and stuff over the next few weeks and stuff. So, because I know they'll start prepping here in the next month or so. They'll start gearing up and getting ready for for their spring practice and stuff if they have that in May. So,
and we do play Douglas fall jamboree.
Oh, do you?
Pick them up for a jamboree like the week before. Maybe it's week 0 or the week before week 0. But Gunersville will play Douglas. Because, they've got a friendly rivalry going on. It hadn't been any hatred or anything. It's mutual respect for each team. And I really hated to see Douglas go. So, I guess, Coach Reese and Coach Lyles probably worked out, hey, let's at least see each other in a jamboree. So I'm glad they're going to play each other in the fall.
Yeah, it'll be a good game. Again, Douglas is coming back with a lot. Their offensive line is the biggest thing they've got to kind of retool up and see what they've got coming up because they lost 3 key guys that were seniors on that line. So a lot of it just depends on what they've got coming up to replace that. But when it comes to the guys out on the outside, the wide receivers, those guys, they've got that. They ain't got no worries there. So, but yeah, so that's the big news there with football. So let's shift into basketball and let's get into this. So we've had area tournaments. So area tournaments for girls wise, we're just going to hit 4A real quick. With 4A, we had DAR was in it. Unfortunately, DAR got put out in the semifinals by North Jackson. They would lose. The girls would 70-68. Again, very young team in DAR. So no doubt in my mind that they don't come back next year even stronger. And I'm interested to kind of see how they do because I know they had couple 9th graders or 8th graders that was playing on that team, Greg. I'm not 100% sure there. So, but they'll be a very, very strong team coming back. So, and then we'll jump over to girls in 3A. So you had Asbury and Brindley Mountain. Brindley Mountain would get put out by Whitesburg Christian in the semis, but Asbury would win. They would go on, though, to lose to Whitesburg Christian. So they did get a bid to sub-region, but they were put out in sub-region by, I believe it was Westbrook Christian. I believe it was. So
I don't have it in front of me, but that sounds right. I know they had to go on the road for the sub-regional.
Yeah, and that's what I was trying to look at there a while ago. So then in 5A, you have in area 13. I'm gonna cover it real quick, and I'll let you hit the one with Guntersville and all them. So area 14 or area 13 had Sardis, Crossville, Boaz, Douglas. So Sardis and Boaz would play. Sardis's girls would win it again. Just they've been on a streak there for several years there, winning it or at least finishing in the top 2. Unfortunately, though, they would go in. They would host sub-regional and would get put out by it was East Limestone, I believe, who it was. And then Boaz would go on and they would travel on the road, but they would get put out as well. So, both the teams from Area 13 are out for Sardis and Boaz. So that then leaves us with Guntersville and Scottsboro. I know you covered that game, so I'll let you cover the girls' side, and then I'll start working on pulling up some of the stuff for the boys.
Yeah, you have Area 14 crossing with Area 16. So on the girls' side, pretty big upset, even though if you ask Guntersville coaches and players, they don't consider an upset. But after losing to the number 1 team in the state, Scottsboro, twice this year, they had to play the area championship game, of course, at Scottsboro. Guntersville went in there and won a huge game, which meant they hosted a sub-regional, and you always want to host a sub-regional. And in a minute, I'm going to say why it's so important. So when you looked at Area 16, You had in the championship game, Priceville defeated East Limestone. So East Limestone came to Guntersville, and Scottsboro had to go to Priceville. And so many people were talking about in the region finals at Wallace, Gunersville, Scottsboro Part 4. Well, that's not going to happen because Scottsboro went into Priceville, and I do remember this score, 34-31, very low-scoring game. Scottsboro was held to 3 points in the first quarter. So I haven't seen any film on Priceville, but I'm looking forward to seeing them Thursday when I'm at Wallace. Priceville and West Point girls will play each other at Wallace, along with Guntersville against Russellville. I think West Point and Priceville will be a dandy because West Point's 27-1. They lost their very first game of the year to Ider, which is very good. Ider actually won big today at Jacksonville in the Sweet 16, and then they won 27 straight. So West Point's legit. Priceville just beating Scottsboro's legit. So that'll be a very exciting game. And then Gunersville and Russellville, of course, one-game season, you never know. But those two teams actually played each other, oddly enough, at Wallace, neutral site over Thanksgiving, and Gunersville won by 37.
Wow.
So I would think you're looking in the region finals at Wallace, a Gunersville versus either Priceville or West Point, and that could really be. Matter of fact, without looking at the other teams, if you have that kind of region final, that could be your state championship game, in my opinion, because so many people are saying the 5A girls champion is coming from the north. And that would not surprise me. A lot of people are saying whoever wins the Northwest region will bring home the blue map. I think there's a good shot. So I think between Guntersville, Priceville, West Point, there's a very good shot one of those three will bring it home. And they're all ranked in the final rankings in 5A. So I'm really looking forward this Thursday, spending the day out at Wallace to seeing everybody and play. And then I know you're about to probably get in on the boys side because I'll be covering boys Thursday also.
Yeah. So going back and looking at the score, so Asbury actually traveled to Glencoe. They lost 50-34. And then we were looking at, there was one more, Boaz. Boaz got beat by West Point. They lost 69-25 on that one. And then it was the Sardis game.
Sardis girls lost at home.
The Scottsboro Priceville game was 34-31 is what it says. So, but yeah, so, here it is. They lost 72-62 to Russellville. Sardis did.
That's right. Sardis lost at home to Russellville, so that's why Russellville, and Russellville's the one that Gunersville's got. So, and teams improve through the year. I always say you can't look at head-to-head earlier in the year because you just never know. Teams get better, teams actually regress, and then when you get to this time of year where it's a one-game season, I mean, you can't take anything for granted because it wouldn't surprise me at all if Scottsboro did not go into Priceville thinking they were mad because they lost to Guntersville at home. They thought they were probably going to take it out on Priceville. I don't really know of many people that had Priceville in that game. And look what happens when you have a one-game season. You never know.
Exactly. Yeah. So jumping over to boys, so Asbury, Brindley Mountain will get put out in the first round. Asbury would win their semifinal match against Elkmont. They would play Whitesburg Christian, but they would lose 74-28. So they would go on the road. The boys from Asbury went on the road to Westbrook Christian. Unfortunately, they would lose 64-45 in sub-region play. And then let's jump to 4A. So DAR would win their semifinal against New Hope 63-58. They would play Plainview, but again, Plainview's girls and boys are so strong. They unfortunately would lose 62-42. So then DAR would go on then to play. I had it right here a while ago. Sorry. They played Alexandria. Unfortunately, they lost 73-66. So that would put them out. Then jump into 5A Area 13. I'll cover that one real quick, and then we'll let you cover the Gunersville side. So we had Boaz and Sardis would make it to the finals. Boaz would beat Sardis 70-64 to win the area. So with that, they would turn around and host West Point. They would win 62-46. And Sardis would, Sardis would play Lawrence County and would lose 78-65. So with that, like you said, Boaz is going to go to Wallace, and I'll let you cover because that'll cover into who they'll actually be playing at Wallace on Thursday. So I'll turn over the Area 14 to you.
Yeah, Area 14 in the area finals, Guntersville eked out one over ARAB. I want to say it was something like 68-64, something like that. You might want to double check me on that. Very close game that actually ARAB led most of the game. And Guntersville had already beaten ARAB twice. So, and it was at Guntersville, so you're thinking, okay, it's going to be an easy win. ARAB played, I got my hats off to them. They played Guntersville tough every meeting this year, and they came real close to pulling the upset. And so Guntersville got out of there alive. So ARAB, though, even though they lost, they still qualified for a sub-region. The only problem was they had to go to East Limestone, where they lost that one, and then Guntersville hosted the Area 16 runner-up, which was Priceville, and beat them 80-45. I do remember that. And that was the last game ever at Guntersville's gym. And they definitely want to go out with a win, as the new gym will be ready next season. So, Chris, I've said now for a month or two, the only team I feel like keeping Guntersville from Birmingham is East Limestone. And there's a good chance they can meet in the region finals at Wallace, because when you look at the first round there, you will have Guntersville and Boaz, so you'll have a Marshall County matchup, and that won't be easy. That'll be the third meeting between those two teams. And on the other side in Wallace, you'll have East Limestone and Lawrence County. And I would think East Limestone's the favorite. So I think you got a collision course of Guntersville and East Limestone on next Monday afternoon to see who goes to Birmingham. But, who knows? Boaz might have something to say about that, or Lawrence County might. You never know this time of year, but it should be some good games.
Yeah. Boaz is playing pretty well right now. I mean, they've started really clicking in the last about 3 to 4 weeks and playing some really good ball on the boys' side. So, I wouldn't sleep on Boaz right now.
I wouldn't either.
Their potential to take anybody down at any time. I mean, Coach Witt's coaching them really well, and he's done a phenomenal job with them this year. So. I'm curious to see kind of how they play against Gunersville, and it being at a neutral site. It's not at Boaz. It's not at Gunersville. You're at neutral site at Wallace. How does that affect the shooting, and overall play and stuff like that? So I'm curious to see how they do.
Boaz, I don't think has played there this year, but Coach Self intentionally every year schedules a game or two at Wallace. And he did that again this year just to kind of get used to the environment, the shooting lines, sight, all of that kind, which I think is very smart.
Oh yeah.
But I tell you, going back to that Boaz Guntersville game, I think all the pressure in the world is on Guntersville. I think Boaz is coming into that with house money. Really.
What did they have to lose? Everybody's expecting Guntersville to win it.
Oh yeah.
And if you look at it, everybody's going to pick Guntersville because it's Guntersville, and Boaz has kind of been fluctuating over the last few years, and they've had some really talented teams, but just couldn't get this point. And now they're here, so everybody's really sleeping on Boaz. They don't expect him to take it. So I'm going to be honest with you. The Gunersville ARAB game, a lot of people did not expect ARAB to play Gunersville like they did that night.
Well, I kind of unfortunately.
It very easily could happen again,
Oh, it could. I mean, as I said earlier, it's a one-game season. Mm-hmm. I mean, you never know. And I went to go see Boaz and Sardis in that overtime area final, and Boaz played real well. But I tell you what, Sardis, they almost pulled that game off. Sardis has a kid that I saw in person I forgot about. He's one of the best players I've seen in any classification all year. And he scored 30-something on Boaz, 22, I think, in the first half. I got to give him, tip my hat to Sardis. They played a great game, and they tied it at the buzzer to send it into overtime. And I thought they had all the momentum, but you also got to give credit to Boaz. And overtime, about halfway through the overtime period, they kind of took over the game, and it was at Boaz. So it was a good, hard-fought game between those two teams in Area 13, and unfortunately, Sardis went down in their sub-regional. But yeah, having a Marshall County battle at Wallace State,
yeah,
that'll be fun. That'll be interesting. It'll be a good day of basketball. So I'm looking forward to being over there Thursday.
That it definitely will. So with that, now let's jump to 7A. So let's look at the boys' side of 7A. So Albertville would play Sparkman in the semifinal round there at Huntsville. It was hosted at Huntsville for area. Unfortunately, Albertville would lose 55-52. And listening to that game and listening to the coach from Sparkman after that game, he had a couple of really young guys that were, I believe, 10th graders that really stepped up and had a huge game that night against Albertville. And so, that's just a tough break. That was a very talented Albertville team. He was bragging big time on Keandre. And he was talking about, he said, the Yancey kid is a very talented athlete, could go play at any junior college in this state. And I even heard him say this, and I don't know if it's true or not, but he had said that, that he had multiple offers, from junior colleges within the state and everything like that. And I know of one or two, but he's a great kid, very athletic. When he's on the floor, he commands a lot of attention. He reminds me of the kid from Albertville a few years ago that was a football player, phenomenal football player. Yeah, Trinity. And phenomenal football player, but when he got on a basketball court, he was one of those guys, he demanded attention. He wasn't an outside threat, but son, anywhere within 8 foot of that goal, you had to have somebody on him, and he could even pass the ball really well to set up, scores and stuff. And that was the same way he was this year.
It seems like Albertville for years and years has always had a history of some big you have to contain. I mean, it goes a long way back. I still remember the days of Riley Norris that then played at Alabama, and you got Trinity Bell, Keandre. I mean, it seems like every class there is a big for Albertville that you have to contain.
Well, next year you got Trey coming back, and Trey can shoot the outside shot. Now here's the thing. Keandre could too. He could shoot the outside shot this year. And a lot of people slept on him, and he made some outside threes on some people, But Trey comes back next year. He was just a junior this year, so he'll be a big for them next year. That'll be a big asset to have come back next year. So, tough break for Albertville. They had a really good year. They were in the top 10 pretty much, I think about the last 3/4 of the year. I know definitely the last half of the year on the boys' side. So, but a very talented team. So, interested to see how they look coming back next year. So with that, let's jump over to the girls' side. Of course, everybody knows the Albertville girls, they're just cooking right now. They would beat Huntsville 55-26 in the semis. They would beat Sparkman 72-39 in the championship round. And so they've gone on. They are playing.
They'll play Monday.
Yeah, they play Monday the 23rd because I saw a announcement go out where they're shutting the whole city down again, basically. So
and
schools are closed and everything. So, but they play Vestavia Hills. So.
Yeah, I was going to say it's the same matchup as last year of Vestavia. Yep. If they get past Vestavia, guess who's next? The best team in the state.
And one of the top ranked teams in the country.
I was going to say they're one of the best in the. I'd say they're top 5 in the nation.
Yeah,
they're Hoover's incredible.
Yeah, and their boys team last year was actually number 1 in the nation last year. When Albertville had to face them, when their boys had to face them in the first round of region last year. So, but if you remember this game with Vestavia Hills last year, it actually went into overtime, if I'm not mistaken.
It was. I think so. It was very close. If I'm not mistaken, for a majority of the region final against Hoover, I think they played Hoover probably as close as anybody has.
Yeah, Hoover pulled away there towards the end, the last quarter and a half there on them. So, So I'm curious to see how they do. Laney's senior year, they're going to be doubling up. I've even seen teams triple teamer. So it's going to come down to some of these girls on the sides that a lot of people don't talk about and stuff like that. Miley could potentially have a big game, but if they're doubling both of them, you got three other girls. Somebody's got to make some points. So
well, that's the thing about it. You can double team Laney all you want, but you've got Miley, you've got Whitley Booker in the middle. You've Grayson Robeson shoots well. I mean, they've got several girls that if they're on, it's kind of like pick your poison.
Yep.
But I guarantee you, Vestavia and Hoover, they are going to cover number 12 like glue.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I would.
Yeah, I'm curious to see how she does. So.
Yeah, it'll be fun. I think it's Monday morning, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe at 9:00. Maybe the first game.
Yeah, they play at 9, and then Hoover will turn around and play Sparkman at 12 that day.
12. Yeah. So it could be a collision course of Albertville and Hoover again.
Yeah. Yeah, so if you're planning on doing anything in Albertville, don't plan on doing it on Monday because most all the town will be probably shut down on Monday. You better plan on doing it on Monday.
Be like a state holiday, won't it?
Yeah, everything will be shut down. So you better find another day because I'm going to go ahead and tell you right now, they support the basketball teams. They support all their teams. But that town will shut down. And I remember seeing pictures and videos from last year, and JSU will be packed with a lot of red, white, and black down there supporting Albertville's girls at 9:00 that morning. So,
if I'm not mistaken, I thought I saw a Facebook post where maybe they're planning a blackout. It was either a whiteout or a blackout. I think maybe it was a blackout. Everybody to wear black or whatever. Maybe they're going to have special shirts made or something. But I remember last year just listening to it on my computer. I mean, it was so loud, and I heard one of the announcers say, all that noise you're hearing, I mean, it was definitely a pro-Albertville crowd.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, they took over the Pete.
Yeah.
I mean, I expect nothing less Monday.
Yeah, I'm not going to get to go, but I'll be watching on NFHS for sure. Yeah. I'll have it on the TV in the background and be listening to it. So it's definitely going to be a ball game. So I'm interested to see. So with that, we'll have regionals this week. You'll have your first round, and then we'll push through. I think regional finals are this weekend, if I'm not mistaken, Greg.
In the next week. I know with us, if Gunersville makes the region finals, it'll be Monday afternoon. So I think they actually wrap up like middle of next week.
Okay. And so then you'll have first round of state playoffs, then the following, and then wrapping up into that weekend. So so we've got about 2 more weeks of basketball left. So we'll be crowning some state champions here before long. So next couple of weeks are going to be interesting. So we'll check back after the state finals and kind of recap and let everybody know where we're at and what all we got going on. So with that, we are in the transition now. We have some soccer coming up. We're going to cover some soccer this year. So they just got started last week, right after we did media day. So a lot of the teams are just now getting going in soccer, tennis as well. Baseball starts on Thursday, the 19th. So I know AHSAA, my son's playing on a JV team, and them in the varsity, they're hosting Albertville for the first game on Thursday, and then they'll play doubleheaders on Saturday against Albertville again as well. So that tends to be their thing right off the bat. They like to play AHSAA and Albertville do. So Gunersville, I know
they open Thursday against Randolph, and I saw something with all the mess that's happened there, and they're going to have a lot of 7th and 8th graders playing. So I did see a revised schedule where they will not play any weekend games, those tri games or whatever. Where there's usually 3 teams playing each other. They're going to play no more than 2 games a week. So it will be a revised schedule. They will play an area schedule where you can qualify for the playoffs and all. And, of course, I wish them well. I just don't know what the expectations are because I think there's either 1 or 2 seniors, and there's going to be so many, like, junior high kids with all the defections that there were earlier and all. So it's going to be a trying year probably for Guntersville, and that's something they're not used to in any sport, really.
Yeah, I knew when I talked to them at media days and everything before everything happened, that following week, they didn't have a JV team. They basically had pulled their JV up and they were going to play varsity. So,
Right.
and even with that, they were going to be very stretched for arms for pitching. And so
Yeah.
it was going to be very tight. And so then basically for those that don't know, they the following week, following media days, back in January, Gunersville would let their head coach go. So Coach Rasmus was let go. So he's no longer the coach there. Now I can't remember exactly what the new coach's name is. They had told me, it slipped my mind.
Bubba Roberts is the interim, and he's got baseball
Roberts.
experience. Yeah, he came from Sardis, but he's been several places. He's also the defensive coordinator on the football team, and he's the interim baseball coach.
Okay. Yeah, so Coach Roberts is taking them over, but I know they had a lot of kids that had quit and some that's come back and stuff like that. But I know just from talking to some of them, basically they've said that they're really short on arms. So
I think they've got either 3 or 4 pitchers. I read that's it.
Yeah, so that's a lot of the reason why they're going to 2 games per week, because of the arms. So
they said I think they had to also because you'd know this better than I would, but I think there's a pitch limit.
It is. That's why they're having to go like it, because you're going to burn at least 2 pitchers a game.
Yeah. So to meet the pitch limit requirements, they really can't do weekday and a couple weekend games on a Saturday. They just don't have the arms to do it.
Oh yeah, yeah, and they already have a tough an area to play in. So
yeah,
but. All right, well, that'll wrap us up. A couple of weeks, we'll be back. We'll start getting in and we'll start showing some of the baseball scores and soccer scores and stuff like that, softball and all. So, because we'll have some games from that. But just one quick announcement as we get ready to close out. Here in the next few weeks, we will have a sponsor coming on that has agreed to come on and sponsor us. So they're going to be helping us with media days. We'll have another big announcement, but we will announce all that in one podcast when we set down with this particular business individual that's decided to come on with us. So sometime within the next 2 to 3 weeks, possibly, so it'll probably be right after our next podcast, we'll bring them in and talk with them. I'll let you get to know them and everything like that, and then we'll make some announcements on some things that they want to partner with us that we're going to start doing for the Marshall County area and some of the athletes and all. So something to be tuning into, be listening to, because we're going to have one big one we're going to do before the end of the year that they want to be a part of. So, with that, Greg, any final thoughts?
That's it. It's a fun time of year. I love this time of year where you got postseason basketball, then you got the spring sports right behind it with, I'm going to be busy with track and field. And of course we got baseball, softball, soccer, you name it. So it's a fun time of year for high school sports.
Definitely is. So with that, for Greg Glasscock and for myself, Chris Bolden, and Steven Spiegel, we appreciate you tuning in. And this has been Beyond the Blitz Scoreboard, and we'll see you in 2 weeks.